Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the Made Remarkable podcast hosted by Kelly Wynn. Today's episode, Kelly has the pleasure of speaking with Sue Bulmer, a remarkable artist and therapist who has transformed her creative journey into a thriving business. Kelly and Sue explore the idea that clarity is not achievable without action. Sue shares her experiences in Build It Remarkable beta program and how this helped fine-tune her marketing, and she shares her plans for upcoming collaborations and the launch of her big juicy lead magnet. Check out the show notes and transcripts for more information about Sue, exclusive promotional offers, and any special links mentioned during the episode. Kelly loves connecting with listeners, so don't be shy. Reach out on social media, and together let's build a community that celebrates the remarkable. If you want to be notified every time a new episode hits the airwaves, just hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for joining us today, and always remember, you are made remarkable, destined to achieve the unimaginable. Now, let's get to the good part. Introducing Kelly Wynn and Sue Bulmer.
Well, hello. I'm Kelly Wynn, artist, author, mentor, fiercely independent mother and wife, and the founder of a multiple six-figure creative business. And I love my life, but I've been where you're at. I was slogging away at this art business thing for more than a decade. But once I finally connected with my true calling, unlocked the magic of marketing, and built a system that could scale, well, I realized I could make an impact and make a substantial income. I'm finally running a business that I love, and it makes all the difference in the world. My biggest dream is to help you do the same. Let this podcast be the catalyst to your biggest success. You already have it in you because you are made remarkable. Hello, Sue. I have Sue Bulmer on, and I am so excited to get to know you a little bit better, even though you did go through my Build It Remarkable program in the fall, and you're an alumni. I still don't know that much about you. I just found out you have a part-time job as a therapist.
That's right.
I do know that you make amazing art, but let's talk a little bit more about how you're doing what you're juggling and a little bit of the history of what you make.
Okay, so a potted history. You'll have to give me the sign if this goes on too long. But I originally trained as a pharmacist back in 1990 something, and spent quite a lot of my working years in that profession. And it was during that time that I decided to take up art again. So that was probably in the mid 2000s. So probably about 2005, I went back to college to do a foundation course in art and design because it's always been something that I've been interested in. And I just thought, why not? So I went back and then really enjoyed that time at college. I then got onto a creative business course in Nottingham, which was run by the council at the time, and decided to set up my own business. So in about 2010, I started making black and white illustrations that were very precise and neat and very me at the time. And I did that for a few years, but I soon lost interest. I think it was one of those things that it wasn't really ticking all of the boxes for me. And I think I wanted to get more into colour and I wanted to find my voice. So fast forward to 2016, I was working with a life coach and decided through that process to go and study art therapy. So I went back to university in my 40s to study art therapy. All the while I've been sort of making art for myself, probably doing art therapy for myself at the time, but didn't really realise it. And through that course really helped me to get in touch with creativity and art on a completely different level. So it was very much, to begin with, it was very much in my head, this practical black and white, really precise illustration style. And through my master's, I got in touch with the kind of art that I make now, which is more colourful, more expressive, and definitely more enjoyable. So since then, I've done a couple of art courses and I've just been kind of finding my way, trying to find out what it was that I really wanted. I knew that I wanted this creative force in my life to be bigger, but I just didn't know how and what. And I spent quite a few years trying to build my social media following. And a few years ago, Instagram was just really, really hard work. I was joining art communities and memberships and really trying to find my way in and seeing other people really doing well and thinking, I want a bit of that.
You want a
And
piece?
yeah, it wasn't until 2020, the end of 22, I just decided I was on the verge of jacking it all in. I think I might have said this to you before. And I decided to have a month off social media. I decided to start and set myself a task or a project for 2023, which was to make a sketchbook every month for the year for myself
Wow.
and share the process on social media. And I stopped trying. I stopped trying to grow, and I just did what I wanted to do. And that was when everything took off. So it was quite a surprise. I went from like 2000 up to, well, 10 really quickly. And people started to get in touch with me and ask me about this project. And it was inspiring people to make their own sketchbooks. And that's when the penny dropped. And I realized that part of this creative journey for me is about connection with other people. And,
Yeah.
and I really love that, inspiring people and hearing from people all over the world and hearing their stories about what my journey helped them to see in themselves.
Ooh. I love it when you finally stopped trying, it clicked. And that's because you were showing up more authentically as yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I think I'd been stuck in that comparing myself to other people,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't I knew that I wanted something more, but I just didn't know what it really was and how to get it. And it was through that project that I set for myself that I realized that I wanted to reach people in a different way and maybe teach. And I found out that I actually like teaching. And for years of my adult life, I have had a terror of public speaking and I hated doing presentations. And I just found my flow and I thought, this is where I'm meant to be. And then I released a course last year and I was thinking, right, how am I going to build this up? And that's when your Build It Remarkable started to appear in my feed. And it was like it came to me at just the right time. So I knew right from the beginning that I needed to do that course.
I'm so glad you did. And that was the beta version, which, as I've admitted, was a little rough around the edges because I was teaching it all live. And I love telling my students to run something live as a beta version because that's when you learn the most. But
Yeah.
we learned a lot together. And I saw that the principles I had been working on with the league and my personal experience, it was paying off. And you had success right quickly with growing your email list and even growing your Instagram account right after we had started working together.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you sort of gave me the building blocks in a really structured way that worked for me because there was learning to do and then there was time to go off and do it yourself. And then there was also check-in time to ask questions. And it gave me the building blocks, really basic things that I hadn't really known about before. So, like the email nurturing sequence, I knew that I needed to put one of those in place, but I didn't have a clue how to do it. And now I've got one, and people now get onboarded with a series of emails which talk about things that might stop them making art. So, I talk about fear. So, I try and bring in now a lot of my therapy skills. So,
Yeah.
about the nervous system, about fear, about blocks, about things that stop us, about why we don't like to stand out from the crowd. And it kind of feeds into the psychology of being stuck and not knowing how to start. So, yeah, the Build It Remarkable, the beta version, really helped me with that. And the email list started growing. So I think I can't remember what it was when I started with you, but it's more than doubled now.
Yeah. Well, I remember you sharing graphs in our Facebook group, and like this huge spike happened when you started making really good, juicy lead magnet offers for people. Then they're like, yeah, I want to connect more. And then they get to know you better, of course, right? That's what the nurture sequence is. But we put ourselves into it. It's not formulaic, it's meant to be here's what we need to say because we want to connect. We understand our customer. We understand what we want to do to serve them. And once you have that in place, and I love that you have this art therapy background, so it totally makes sense why you would want to nurture people through your play and through your art, and that you have all of the experience and skill behind it to help, because we know when people start making art, there's so much that comes up. And so you guide them through that. And of course,
Yeah.
when you're showing up completely as yourself, making the art that you want to make. And there's something that I've heard many times, so I'm going to repeat this, not based off of me making it up, but action creates clarity. And the more you do, the more the answers come to you. So when you finally put away all of that and you're just like, I'm just going to do this project and share the process,
Yeah.
then everything starts becoming more transparent. And I kind of think that's how I stumbled into teaching online as well, is because I started sharing my love of color. And the more I did it and the more it grew, the more I was like, and then people have answers, and then it lit me up. And so I kept moving
Mm.
forward. And there's probably a lot of people listening that are like, okay, now I've done it. I followed that path. I have people asking me questions. I've made a little course, but now how do you actually monetize it and build it to the point that you can retire from the other job?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that I'm helping people through Build It Remarkable really see that process. But like you said, the building blocks to building it,
Yes.
things that we don't, that aren't as apparent and we're maybe not natural at, like marketing.
Yeah. But it really helped me to break down some of the barriers that I had to marketing as well. Hearing about your experience, hearing about the experience of people that you've worked with in Remarkable League and seeing the success that they've had as well. And I think when you can see and relate to the success of someone else, it helped me believe that I can do this too.
That's so expansive too, because some people are like, oh, they already did it. Oh, somebody's already in that niche and someone else has already made that course and they're already, why should I do it if Nicholas Wilton's already got the big program? Why should I ever make something? Because you're not that person creating
Yeah.
CPP. You're you making the thing you make. And then when we see all of these artists who are building beautiful businesses and we're actually supporting each other and we're not in competition, there's room for all of us. And that's what
Yeah.
keeps happening, is like, oh, there's so much potential for all of us. And I love that you saw, if they can do it, so can I. And that's how I have always looked at it. I'm like, so somebody else made $1 million. It doesn't mean there's not $1 million waiting for me to work towards it as well. It's not
Yeah.
finite.
Yeah. And that's part of the messaging that I've heard in your podcast. And what was it? The through action comes clarity. That
Yeah.
really stuck with me. At the beginning of 2023, I'd been working with a coach and she said, what do you want? So I'd written down this page of like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this group, I want to have a membership, I want to do a course. And there was loads on this list. I want to work with menopause. And it wasn't until I started doing a few of the things that I found I got the clarity, because I realized what I didn't want to do, which I
Right.
think is important, as realizing the things that I really did want to do. So that
Exactly.
saying is going to get a special little place on my notice board, I think.
Well, and also let's also talk about the fact that we do have all these ideas and we think we can do it all, and then we realize we only have so much time, and we also only, what is really coming down is not just the time it takes to do things, but the voice it takes to message it. And when you get super clear on that, you don't have the time in the day to say, hey, look at all these different things I'm doing, when you can say, hey, I'm really passionate about these sketchbooks and helping people go through the process of finding their style, their voice, feeling free to make the kind of work that they want. And you can go all in on that thing. That really helps. And
Yeah,
it's just one little bit at a time we build it up. And if there's no way to build that whole big massive business all in one day, like,
yeah,
even 1 year, it's a multi-step process.
yeah. And I think that was the thing at the beginning of the course. I remember thinking, oh my goodness, there's so much here. How am I going to do it all? But then when you actually realize, and I saw everybody realize as well, we don't have to do it all by next week. This is a long, all of the things that are in there, when you add them all up, there is so much to do, that that you've got to be in it for the long game.
You do. You have to be in it for the long game. I kind of want to like pinpoint that idea too, is I do have a lot of education in my program, as in I'm giving you all the building blocks to understand how to communicate, how to market, how to message, how to build up your Prism marketing method, how
Yeah,
to open up a program and launch a program. There are multiple steps in marketing your business. But like learning how to be a doctor, you don't like go in on day one, learn a lesson, and then go do surgery. It takes a long time. You learn and then you take the time to implement.
yeah,
So that's what I can't like if I was to stretch it out and say, you know what, this is like really a 1 to 2 year long process for you to get these pieces in place. So I'm going to slowly drip it out. Then people will be like, I'm so bored, just give it to me already. So I'd rather like, here's what you need to know. Now let's work on it. So that's why I
yeah,
program that way.
definitely. And that's really worked for me because now I've got the clarity of thought because I know which bits I've done and which bits I still need to do. And I've just got my action plan now of this is what's going to happen this year. So I have actually been really good and I've been really boundaried and I've said no to lots of other opportunities because I know that I really want to make this a success and concentrate on that, just that for this year. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll have my head down and cracking on with things.
And so
Yeah.
what is it that you're going to do? Let's talk about that so people can actually find you and connect with you.
Okay, so through the process of Build It Remarkable, I have made my plan and I've put that into action now. I have filmed a free course, which is my Juicy Lead Magnet, which I am
Yes.
starting to promote now. So it's called Creative Soul Discovery. And I've
Ooh.
tested it. So this is something that I wouldn't have done before I came on Build It Remarkable. And I think that you really stress it's important to test. So I was putting myself under quite tight time constraints, which I realized were completely self-imposed. Filmed the course, took a breath, got some people to test it. I'm now getting the feedback from that. So I am making all of the changes that I need to, and I'm launching it on the 1st of May, which
How
I'm really
exciting.
excited about. So I'm starting to promote that now through my social media channels, and hopefully the people who beta tested it for me will also share it. And then I need to do some serious thinking about a signature course, which will be, I'm planning to work on that through June and July, beta test in August, possibly launch in October. And
Love.
so it's quite a long time between the free course and the signature, but hopefully that free course will grow and more people will find out about it and find out about me. And I don't want to rush it. I want it to be really good value and useful for people and what people want.
Mhm.
So that's what I'll be doing. And possibly, I don't know whether to say this out loud, maybe launching a membership at the end of the year. Again, that seems like
Wow.
such a lot. And
But I can see how something that you're really focused on this one signature and then people want support afterwards.
yeah,
So I can see how that makes sense. However, baby steps. I love that you know that this isn't something that you have done within a couple of months. It takes time
yeah,
to build, and the true success of a business isn't just the product that you make, but being able to get the message out about the product. And those
yeah,
were some of the things that we worked on. Who is it for? How are you solving their problem? How are you helping them and supporting them? You
yeah,
know, how are you standing out differently? And then how do you talk about that on a regular basis? And the magic is always in the list. It's my number one rule. I won't back down on it. Build a list, because we all know that social media could just drop off the face of the earth in a single minute and then you'd have to start all over. So I love that your list is growing and that you've got that kind of clarity.
yeah, yeah. I'm really pleased with how it's going. So it's just like we were saying right at the beginning when we first started chatting, just about I really need to make sure I look after myself to maintain my energy and to do all of
Right.
the right things to make sure I'm putting things into the pot. So I've got the energy and the resilience to continue working and to giving the best to my clients, but also to continue being able to give my best to the people who, are enrolling on my courses.
Yeah. Well, so are you making time for art? because that's the part that fuels. So you have to make a little time for art. I love
Yeah.
I love your artwork. So it's really nice when I mean like this is part of our messaging is the work that we make, right? And sharing it.
Yeah, so I am trying to make some art after every day at work to process the day, but that's more of a self-care thing for work, really. I'm doing quite
Great.
a few creative collaborations. So I'm collaborating with another artist and we're swapping sketchbooks. So we're hoping to develop that project. I've also made a couple of connections through Build It Remarkable. So there are a couple of collaborations that will be happening later this year through that. I don't really want to spill the beans because it's up to the
Yeah.
person whose project it is. And yes,
I
so
know
I
who
am
the person is, and she's the best in the whole wide world.
is, and we live really close to each
I
other.
love that. See, this is the other thing that people don't talk about, that when you have the right kind of community of, especially people who have very similar backgrounds of art and teaching and connecting, you make relationships when you're in these kinds of programs.
Absolutely. So
Well,
hopefully we'll
I'll
be
let you and her spill the beans on that later, but
yes, yes. Very excited though. So yes, I am still making art and I am still conscious that I need to make that a priority because it's what feeds us, isn't it? We're all creative and we all have a need to create. So I've got to keep doing it.
and that's one of the things that's different about Build It Remarkable as a program is that everyone comes from that creative background. So, and me too. So we relate to each other. And there are different needs than, say, somebody who's created some sort of accounting program online or how to change a tire online. Like, I mean, like I'm just making up stuff. Like their background and their needs are very different from what artists' needs are. And my goal is to help artists once they're establishing their business to buy back their time by creating that kind of consistency.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah.
make time for our work, and I'm pretty guilty about it myself, to be honest. I don't make as much time for my work as I need to, but that's the part where we come together as a community and understand and support each other in it. It's just a different breed of
Yeah.
us artists.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the things I feel quite passionate about is just creativity in general. It doesn't always
Right?
have to be about making art, does it? It can be about so many other things, about how we dress, how we make a meal, how we plant our garden, decorate our house, how
Yes,
we organize a holiday. It can be so many different things, not just
how we
about,
build a business.
yes, how we build a business.
Because for me, that's a
Absolutely.
super creative outlet.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of energy as well because it's you're thinking creatively. I mean, I
Very.
think the definition of creativity is about using your imagination. So it's
And we are using our imagination to pull
yeah,
something out of practically thin air and build something out of it. It's kind of crazy.
yeah, it is. It is. So I always say to people who say, "Oh, I'm not creative," I just say that everyone's creative. If you've got an imagination, you are creative.
And there is a part of you that has an imagination, even if you don't think that you do, because the world thrives on that kind of thinking, that kind of expression. I mean, what would be the point of all that we're doing in this world if it wasn't so that we can lift up the writers and the poets and the artists and the musicians and have something beautiful to keep looking forward to?
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
Well, your art is so much needed in this world, and I'm so glad that our paths crossed. And I'm
Me
so glad
too.
that you took Build It Remarkable and you're already seeing success with it.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been the best money that I've spent on my business really since I started.
Oh,
It's been,
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, it has. I've not regretted it for 1 minute. It's been a joy to work with you and to get some of your energy and vision and also to meet everybody else who was on the course as well. I've
Yeah,
really
thank
loved
you
it.
so much. I hope everyone listening goes and finds Sue Bulmer on her Instagram account, which is it just
It's
Sue?
just,
Sue?
yeah, I've been on that long that I managed to get my actual name.
That's so cool. So Sue Bulmer, and I will definitely be connecting so that they know how to find you and your brand new free juicy lead magnet. That's what we call it.
Yes.
And it's juicy because it's so good people can't resist. And I'm really excited for you and everything that the big future holds for you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for this space and, for your time to chat. It's been lovely.
Well, thank you for your time, more importantly. Thank you.